This is SevereMMA, and we're here at the Aspire Combat Academy. This is a beautiful, beautiful building that you've got here, and I'm alongside Dean Garnett. And Dean, we're going to catch up a little bit. We're going to chat this. We're going to chat what you're doing with high schools, and we might talk about your fight coming up. Okay. But first off, this gym, you know, it's like a TARDIS. You've got a physio room. You've got a strength and conditioning room. You've got a cage. You've got. How long has it taken to put all this together?
It's just 2 years since we opened, only just. So I think in terms of 2 years' time, we've probably done more than anyone's done in the industry. I think in terms of the facility, it's got 2 mats, cafe, as you say, it's got a physio, strength and conditioning. And where we want to be long term, we need top facilities. So a top coach doesn't just produce top fighters, he creates top facilities, they create world-class programs, and then obviously now, you know, a good coach doesn't just develop athletes, they also develop the next, you know, world-class coaches, and that's something me and Phil are both quite passionate about. So yeah, there's a lot going on, but you know, it's all working very well, and actually everyone's improving, and we hold everyone accountable. And anytime we have performances or anything happening in the gym, we sit down and we talk about how we can make it better, and you know, this is the result of that.
Again, we're looking at like an 8-year-old prodigy over there. How is the youth movement here? Because again, you know, we've described this gym as kind of the alpha male of the UK. You've got young, lighter weight coaches, all hungry, all wanting to learn and share it. Like, how full are you, and what's the future looking like?
I think, you know, one of the big things for me as a coach is it's about developing the youth. The main motivation for me to be a coach was to work with young people. I obviously enjoy working with athletes who are older and more experienced like myself, but you know, the crux of this gym is the future. And although we've got a strong sort of contingency at the minute, I think further down the line you're going to see us, you know, become more recognised as the #1 outfit in the UK. That's the plan. I think, you know, we've got a strong junior programme. The Little Ninjas programme we run is in line with Sport England and a lot of other sports, and I think that's where MMA lacks. A lot of the practices that you see in MMA, they're actually not fit for purpose, and the way we do things here, everything's underpinned academically, scientifically. So eventually, these young kids you're looking at now, they can't go any other way than be world class, because the training that we set up and the methods that we use, they're designed to make champions, and that's what these kids are going to do.
You mentioned the word, you know, academically as well as, you know, but you're working with some high school, you're bringing it into high schools around here. Now that's close to, I'm a high school teacher, and you know, to see and to hear that mixed martial arts is being embraced. Can you tell us a little bit about that program?
Yeah, so when we're talking about the high school program, people probably assume we're going into high schools delivering mixed martial arts. That's not what we're doing. Actually, what we're doing is we've created the first of its kind in the world. It's a cutting edge sort of coach development program. The kids we enrol, it's a 2-year 6th form course. If you want to go to university, it helps you get there. You can run A levels alongside it, but it also develops a lot of work experience, and we've got 4 pathways: professional athlete, apprentice or professional coach, university, or working in the industry as like a cut man, a hand wrapper, all these things. So as well as principle, like the basic principles for coaching sport that we cover, we also cover all these industry specific things as well. So the lads are encouraged to sort of get experience working alongside promoters, working in the gym, you know, getting right into the industry. So if any, and I think we can be a leader not only in creating fighters but creating the next people who help take the sport on. And again, you know, we're having some conversations with UK MMAF at the moment. I think naturally we've made ourselves the industry leaders for the coach education aspect of the sport. I think in terms of my CV, I'm probably one of the more qualified guys to try and push that on. So hopefully in 2018 we can get something going with them as well and support the work they're doing.
Is there any risk at all that your fight career has to be, or does that get put, do you sometimes have to push back what you need to do for you and is that a sacrifice worth making?
I'd say to a small degree. I mean, I'm 8 weeks away from a fight now, and as of next week I'll be passing on a lot of me responsibility, you know, as well as the co-owner of the business, Phil Turner, who's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He helps coach or tutor the sports course. We've got a host of coaches here, a big long list. So there's lots of people who are capable here, and you know, after this first lot graduate out the sports course as well, that's only going to take more stress off me, because you know the lads are shaping up to be really good coaches. So I think slightly at the moment it does take some shine off my fighting career. I mean, it doesn't have to, but the way I work is what I'm passionate about. I can't get out my head, and I spend a lot of my time thinking about developing the sports course at the moment. But I'm back into fight camp next week, so I'm sure that can change.
And you're a fighter that's gone, you've gone a little bit that extra mile to kind of bring eyes to the sport. If we look at the BBC Three documentary, I mean, and people will say, well, but you're bringing eyes to the sport, you're bringing eyes to this. Is that something that you consciously, like, what?
No, I do. I'm passionate about the sport, and I remember early on in the sport when I was developing as a fighter, the attitudes that the doctors would give me when I wanted to talk about getting an operation on my hand, or the attitude some of me university lectures had towards the sport that I did because it weren't recognised, and those attitudes used to really annoy me because I know the power of MMA. I know what it does for kids like this little fella over here, and what it's done for me personally, and it annoys me that we have these bad attitudes and bad stereotypes. So any chance I can get to shine some good light on the sport, whether it's myself or one of the little superstars in this academy, then I'm going to take every chance I get to do so.
You mentioned you got a fight in 8 weeks, and we'll catch up with you in a couple of weeks' time to talk specifically about that. But it is with ACB, and right now this is a promotion that is starting to make a little bit of noise. They're putting on cracking good cards when they come here. If you've ever traveled with them, they put on is there a commitment to ACB for the foreseeable future?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a commitment. I don't know if you know, but when I was about 4 weeks out from the fight with Magomedov, and the UFC came in with an offer, 4-fight deal, and it meant me fighting with 3 weeks to prepare. It wasn't the right time anyway, but I was sitting there looking at the opponent the UFC had offered me, and he was a much easier fight than the fight I had booked in Russia. And for me, travelling to Russia, that experience was worth more than just... Because to me, ACB and UFC, they're just logos.
Yeah.
You get into a cage, the cage door shuts, and you're either fighting at the top level or you're not. And going to fight Magomedov was going to fight at the top level, in my opinion. He's a guy who could easily have a good UFC career. So, yeah, and another thing with the ACB as well is they've talked about wanting to have a massive global footprint, and for me, UFC have took the foot off the gas with the UK and Australia, and they're two countries that I want to feature in heavily. Probably the Australia card was the biggest thing to make me commit. I'm an Australian citizen, my 2 sisters live there, my brother lives there, my mum and nan are on holiday there when I fight there. So it's kind of, and plus everything you see here, I'm going to go and knock up in Sydney or some part of Australia in the next 5 years. So for me, what ACB offered fell more in line with my dreams. I mean, years and years ago, I only dreamed of being in the UFC, but when you get to a certain point in your career, you realise that they're just logos. And for me, ACB, in terms of divisions, their bantamweight division is not far off the UFC's. Look at Takeya Mizugaki. Yeah. He got wiped out by Rustam Kerimov in just as quick as all the other guys in the UFC wiped him out, like Dillashaw and Cody, wasn't it? Guys like that. So I'm fighting in and around that level. I mean, even Bellator, I don't think Bellator can even compete with ACB in terms of being a real fight show. Bellator's like BAM, and it's a bit more of a freak show. So yeah, for me, it's about fighting abroad, because you only live once, and I want to travel. I'm fighting top guys, and they're consistently doing that for me. So for me, what's not to commit there?
Dean, it's always a pleasure catching up with you. This place is absolutely stunning. We will see you in a couple of weeks to get a pre-fight for the event in Australia. But before we let you go, anyone you want to give that shout out to?
Just to everyone who's involved with what we're doing at Aspire, me business partner Phil Turner, all the guys involved in what we're doing, Brian the boxing coach, Daz Morris, Muay Thai, Mo the wrestling coach, Conor Heaney, strength conditioning, Dan McGonigal, the sports psychologist, Ben Crichton, PhD nutritionist. All these guys are putting time into all these young people, and it's making a massive difference. And right now we've probably got the scariest under-18 team in the country. So yeah, I'm just excited about what's going on in and around me, and let's look forward to the future.
Yeah, the future looks bright. Dean, thank you ever so much for your time, sir. A pleasure to be here.